You know that scene? It's in basically every spy movie.
Oh, yeah. The one in the hotel lobby.
Exactly. The bad guy's cornered, police are everywhere, and he just pulls out this little book and says,
Diplomatic immunity.
and the cops just lower their guns and let him walk away. It's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card.
It drives audiences crazy, but it's based on a real thing.
It is. And for the longest time, I just thought, okay, movie logic. But today, we're doing a deep dive into the actual document that makes that scene possible.
The operating system for global politics.
The 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. I've got the full text right here, all 53 articles.
And calling it an operating system is, I think, the perfect way to frame it. Without these rules, countries just couldn't talk to each other safely.
It was signed on April 18, 1961. But looking at the history, this wasn't really about inventing new rules, was it? It feels more like they were just writing everything down.
That's it, exactly. Diplomacy is ancient, sending messengers back and forth.
Right, for thousands of years.
But it was always messy. It was based on custom, on handshake deals. The UN decided we needed to codify it all into hard international law.
So when tensions get high, the rules don't just disappear.
Precisely.
Okay, before we get to the spy stuff, the secret bags and all that, I want to look at the why, because the preamble here is surprisingly blunt about it.
It is. It says the whole point of these privileges is not to benefit individuals.
Which is the single biggest misconception.
It is the most important takeaway from this whole document. It's all about something called functional necessity.
It means what exactly? In plain English.
It means we don't give diplomats immunity because they're special. We give them immunity because if we didn't, they couldn't do their jobs.
Okay.
Imagine you're a diplomat in a hostile country. If the local police could arrest you for a parking ticket or a made-up charge, you wouldn't be a diplomat. You'd be a hostage.
So the immunity protects the function, not the person.
It protects the message. It ensures the lines of communication stay open, even if you can't stand the messenger.
Okay, keeping that functional idea in mind, let's get into the rules. Section 1 of our deep dive, the fortress, the embassy itself.
Article 22. This is the bedrock.
It says, the premises of the mission shall be inviolable. Now, inviolable is a heavy word. What does that mean in practice? Like, can a cop literally not walk through the front door?
That is exactly what it means. Police, military, health inspectors. Nobody from the receiving state can enter without the express consent of the head of the mission.
I have to push on that because it sounds so absolute. What about a real emergency? The embassy is on fire.
Right.
The fire's threatening the building next door. Can the fire department break down the gate?
That is the classic law school exam question. And under the strict text of Article 22, the answer is no.
No.
Not without consent. Now, in reality, they'd call the fire department. They don't want to burn to death. But legally, the sovereignty of that space is absolute.
Wow. So you'd rather let the building burn down?
Because once the host government is inside, who knows what they see? What files they grab? The sanctity of the space is more important than the building itself.
And it goes the other way too, right? The host country has a special duty to protect it.
A very special duty. They have to protect it from intrusion or damage and prevent any impairment of its dignity.
That dignity part is interesting. So if there are protesters outside throwing paint,
the host government is obligated to send their own police to stop it. They have to guarantee the peace of the mission.
So you're barred from going inside, but you have to guard the outside with your life.
It's a heavy burden. It costs nations millions. But again, functional necessity. You can't negotiate if there's a mob at your window.
Okay, what about the stuff inside? Can the police get a warrant if they think there's, I don't know, a kidnapping victim in the basement?
Not a chance. Paragraph 3 is crystal clear. Furnishings, property, and means of transport are immune from search.
Means of transport, that's the diplomatic cars.
That's the ambassador's sedan. You can't search it, you can't tow it. It's an extension of the embassy.
It really is a fortress. But a fortress is useless if you can't get messages out. Which brings us to Section 2, the black box. Communication.
Article 27. This is the one spy novelists just love.
The diplomatic bag. I always picture like a canvas sack with a big wax seal on it.
It can be a sack, or a briefcase, or a shipping container. The only rule is it has to have visible external marks of their character, a tag and a seal, usually.
And the main rule is simple. The diplomatic bag shall not be opened or detained.
Period. No exceptions written into the text.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. What if customs puts the bag through an X-ray machine and sees the outline of a gun or drugs?
That is a huge point of contention. Most legal experts argue that X-raying is a form of electronic search, so it counts as detaining.
So you can't even X-ray it.
Generally, no. If they tried, the diplomat can just say, nope, take the bag and fly home with it.
So you just have to trust them.
You do. Paragraph 4 says it can only contain official documents or articles for official use. But there's no way to check. It's an honor system.
Which seems incredibly risky.
It is. But the alternative is worse. If country A starts opening country B's bags, then country B opens A's bags. And suddenly, nobody can send a confidential report home. The secrecy is worth the risk of abuse.
Who carries these things? You don't just FedEx it, I assume.
You use a diplomatic courier, and that person, under paragraph 5, also has personal inviolability. You cannot arrest the courier.
They're a human shield for the bag.
Essentially.
I noticed this really specific detail here in paragraph 7 about pilots. It says, a bag can be entrusted to the captain of a commercial aircraft.
Yes, the pilot exception. It's used all the time. Cheaper than having a full-time courier.
But the pilot isn't a diplomat, right?
Correct. The pilot gets no immunity. They're just a carrier. But the convention lets a mission member drive their car right out onto the tarmac to get the bag directly and freely from the captain.
That's an amazing visual. The black sedan pulling up next to the 747.
It keeps the chain of custody secure. The bag never legally touches the airport's soil.
Okay, so the building is safe, the mail is safe. Let's talk about the person. Section 3, immunity. This is what makes people so angry.
Article 29. The person of a diplomatic agent shall be inviolable.
Meaning they can't be arrested.
Cannot be liable to any form of arrest or detention.
But does inviolable mean they're above the law? If a diplomat runs a red light and hits someone, are they just untouchable?
This is where we have to separate the law from jurisdiction. It's a crucial distinction in Article 31.
Okay.
When it comes to criminal jurisdiction, immunity is absolute.
Absolute. So if a diplomat robs a bank?
The local courts cannot try them. The police cannot jail them. It doesn't matter how bad the crime is. Murder, espionage, zero legal authority.
That is a very hard pill to swallow. It just feels fundamentally unjust.
It's unjust to the victim, absolutely. But remember the why. If we allowed trials for severe crimes, a hostile government could just frame an ambassador for murder to get leverage.
Right, to create an incident.
The immunity has to be absolute, or it's useless. If you leave a crack in the door, a dictator will kick it open.
What about civil stuff? Lawsuits. If a diplomat crashes into my car, can I sue them?
That's different. They're generally immune from civil jurisdiction, but with 3 really interesting exceptions where they can be sued.
Okay, lay them on.
1. Real estate. If the diplomat buys a private house as an investment and stops paying the mortgage, the bank can sue them.
Makes sense. You can't steal a house.
2. Succession. If they're involved in a messy family inheritance battle as a private person, no immunity.
And the third one.
This is the side hustle clause. An action related to any professional or commercial activity they conduct outside their official job.
Wait, can a diplomat even have a side hustle? Can the ambassador open a bakery?
Actually, no. Article 42 explicitly forbids it.
So it's to catch-22.
Exactly. The convention says you can't run a business. But if you break that rule and run one anyway, you can't use your immunity to get out of paying your bills.
That is surprisingly clever. What about taxes? The myth is they pay 0 taxes.
Mostly true. Article 34 exempts them from all direct taxes, like income tax.
But there's a but.
The but is indirect taxes. Taxes included in the price of goods. When they buy a coffee, they pay the sales tax, just like you.
And they have to pay for services, I assume. Water, electricity?
Right. Those are fees, not taxes, so they aren't living for free.
Okay, so listening to all this, it feels like the diplomat holds all the cards. Untouchable person, untouchable house. What stops them from going completely rogue?
That brings us to Section 4, checks and balances. Because you're right, there has to be a check. And the receiving state has one ultimate weapon.
Article 9.
The persona non grata declaration.
Person not welcome.
It is the eject button. At any time, for any reason, the receiving state can declare a diplomat persona non grata.
Do they have to prove they did something wrong?
Nope. They don't even have to explain why. They just send a note that says, this person needs to leave.
And what happens then?
The sending state must recall that person. They have to bring them home.
And if they refuse? If they say, no, he's staying?
Then the trapdoor opens. The receiving state can then refuse to recognize the person concerned as a member of the mission.
Which means their immunity just vanishes.
Instantly, they become a regular person. And if there's a warrant out for their arrest, the police can move in.
So the leverage is Get him out of here or we'll put him in handcuffs.
Exactly. It forces the sending state to police its own people.
There's also Article 41. This feels like the moral balance to the whole thing.
It's the most important counterweight. It says, essentially, that it is the duty of all diplomats to respect the laws and regulations of the receiving state.
So just because you can't be punished doesn't mean you aren't breaking the law.
Correct. The law still applies to you, just not the jurisdiction. You have a duty to follow the speed limit, a duty not to use the embassy for, say, criminal activity.
You can't turn it into a bomb factory.
If you abuse the fortress, you lose the privilege of being there.
Let's move to our last section, endgames. What happens when countries go to war? Does this whole rule book just get tossed out the window?
Surprisingly, no. That's when these rules matter most. Article 44 covers armed conflict.
And what does it require?
It says the receiving state must help diplomats leave at the earliest possible moment. Even if you're actively bombing each other, you have to help the enemy diplomats get out safely.
You have to provide the bus.
You have to provide the bus, the plane, whatever is necessary. You guarantee their safe passage to the border.
What about the empty embassy building? Can the locals just move in?
No. Article 45. Even after relations are broken, the host country must still respect and protect the premises and archives.
How do they do that if nobody's there?
Through a third state.
How did that work?
Country A and Country B break relations. Country A can ask a neutral country, Country C, often Switzerland, to take custody of the building.
So you literally hand the keys to the Swiss?
Often, yes. It's called a protecting power. It keeps the channel open and ensures there's a building to go back to when the war is over.
One last thing, Article 40, transit. If I'm a diplomat flying to my post and I have a layover in a third country, am I protected there?
You are. That third state has to grant you inviolability while you're passing through. The shield travels with you.
It's amazing how comprehensive this all is.
It has to be. It's a fragile ecosystem.
That's really the aha moment for me in this deep dive. We started out thinking of this as a get-out-of-jail-free card for elites. But it's not about perks at all. It's about the fragility of peace. It's all based on mutual consent, like Article 2 says.
That's it. The system only works because every country knows if they break the rules, the other side will break them right back.
It's mutually assured destruction, but for embassies.
It prioritizes communication over justice in specific cases, and that's a hard trade-off to accept sometimes.
And I want to leave our listener with that thought. That tension between Article 31, you have absolute immunity, and Article 41, you have a duty to respect the law.
It's a profound tension.
We, as a global society, accept that a diplomat might get away with a crime. Because the alternative, a world where diplomats are constantly being silenced or arrested, is seen as far more dangerous.
We trade individual justice for international peace. We decide that being expelled in disgrace is punishment enough because the mission itself is more important than prosecuting one person.
It's the price of admission for having a global civilization.
It is. And for all its flaws, it's the reason we have embassies instead of battlefields in most capital cities.
Well, that's all the time we have. Next time you see a car with diplomatic plates cut you off in traffic, maybe remember it's frustrating, but it's part of a system that's keeping the world talking. Thanks for listening.